I'm going to go ahead and identify some things for you because you will need to know what h is for sure. Okay, this is going to kind of be the main guy. You're going to have to know him. Okay, but let's go ahead and start with t. What do you think t means?
Time.
Time, very good. So time, and that's going to be in seconds. Okay, v,
Velocity.
very good. Velocity, what does velocity mean? Do you know?
Isn't like
How fast,
speed?
Yeah, the speed of the ball. So how fast? Initial, when it says initial, that just means start. So starting speed. So when he releases it from his hand, it's going, was it 14? 14 feet per second. Okay, that's how fast it's going. Now, c. Okay, do you guys remember back, and I know it's been a little while, but do you guys remember that y equals mx plus b, the linear? Okay? And b was where we started on the y-axis. Okay, so we always call this our start position. Is that kind of coming back to you a little bit? Okay? Well, that's what c is. C is our start position, but it's height. Okay? So where are we starting at?
Right, 6 foot.
6 foot. Okay, Brad's 6 foot, so we're starting at 6 feet there. Okay? So this is going to be height, but it's going to be our starting height. Okay? So start height. Okay? And then we have h, and h is height, but it's your finishing height. Okay? Finish height. Okay, finish height. All right, so let's go ahead and start writing this equation. Okay, Brad tosses the ball 6 feet. So where does the 6 going at?
H.
C.
Is that is 6? Look at our picture. Is 6 our start or our finish height?
Our start.
Our start, right? It's being released from Brad, going over to Evan, right? So we've got a plus 6 for C. Okay. What about V? What's the V going to be?
14.
Good, 14. Now the negative 16t squared just stays. It's always there. It has to do with gravity and whatnot. Okay. Equals. All right. So now what is your finishing height here?
4.
Okay. So equals 4. Your finish height. Now I will tell you on the test. Okay. You are going to get this portion of your equation. You will have to come up with your own finishing height. Okay. So real quick, if I say it's going to hit the ground, what do you think you're going to put in there?
0.
0, right? If it hits ground, we're going to always assume ground level, water level is 0, all right? So if it says it enters the water, we're talking 0. Hits the ground, we're talking 0, okay? So again, I'm going to give you the setup for the most part. You just have got to plug in where's your finishing at? Where are you finishing? You'll plug it in and then solve. So now I've got everything plugged in. What do we have to do here first?
Move the 4 over.
We got to move the 4 over, right? We got to set equal to 0 first, okay? So we're going to subtract the 4 over, and we're going to put it over there with the 6. Okay, so that have a variable on it. So we have 0 equals negative 16t squared plus 14t plus 2. Is everybody okay with that? Okay, what would be our first step on factoring?
On the list.
Before the list.
GCF.
Is there a GCF?
Yes.
What's our GCF?
2.
Okay, now, one of the things I'm going to do, and you might want to make a note of this somewhere, is anytime I've got a negative out front, I'm going to pull a negative out. That way I have a positive here. It makes factoring easier, all right? Because then otherwise you're looking at signs here instead of back here, and it kind of trains you to look back over here, okay? So here we're going to go ahead and pull out a negative 2, just to make that front number positive. So if I were you, I'd write a note somewhere. You want your A value to be positive, okay? So kind of write yourself a note that this guy right there, make A positive. Okay, so anytime it's negative, let's make it positive.
So even if you can't pull a GCF, you just should do it by negative?
You could always pull a negative 1. Does that make sense? So we're going to pull out a negative 2, and we're going to get 8t squared, a minus 7t, and a minus 1. Is everybody okay with that? So all your signs should have flipped.
You mean the bracket?
I just made the bracket so you can see it. If you have parentheses, it's the same thing. Okay? All right, so now what are we going to do?
Make the list.
Make the list. All right, so 1 times 8, 2 times 4, and this is 1 times 1. That's going to be nice. All right? Okay, so if I look here, 1 times 1 is 1. 8 times 1 is 8. Will 1 and 8 give us 7? Yeah, if we subtract it, will. Okay. So we think right there's our answer. Okay, so 0 equals, I still have the negative 2 out front. Okay, again, here's your front, here's your back, right? So 1T or T, 8T, and then 1 and 1 on the back sides there. Is everybody okay with all that?
Oh, shoot.
Okay, so now we gotta think signs, okay? So if I've got the 1 times 1 and the 8, which one needs to be negative to get the negative 7? The 8 needs to be negative, okay? So here, when I take 10 times the 1, that's the 1, that guy's positive. The 1 times the 8 needs to be the negative. Does that make sense? Okay, again, what should you do if you're not sure if this is right? Foil it out, make sure it's right, okay? We happen to know it's right. Okay, so now, notice how we still got this negative 2 out front. We talked about that briefly yesterday. What happens when you take 0 and set it equal to negative 2?
It's 0.
You can't do it, just throw it out,
Plus,
okay? Because there's no variable there, that can't be an answer. So then we have 0 equals t minus 1, and 0 equals 8t plus 1. Okay? All right, so now with that being said, t is going to equal what on the first one here?
1.
1. All right, on the second one, what am I going to do there to solve that one?
Well, I can give you an answer.
Okay, what's your answer?
T equals negative 1 over 8.
Good, negative 1/8. Okay, so when I subtract the 1 over, right? So negative 1 equals 8t, and then we're dividing by 8. Okay, so now which one of those answers makes sense?
1.
1. Now what is the 1 saying here? 1 what? What's going on?
1 second.
Second, like, feet per second.
No, just
Like
1 second. T, remember T stands for time. Okay, T is time, so it's saying 1 second, and what's happening in 1 second?
The ball goes 14 feet per second.
Well, that's how fast it's going, but I mean, it goes from player to player and takes 1 second in the air, right? So the ball's traveling for 1 second in the air, that's what's going on,
Wow.
from player to player.
They're throwing
Okay.
hard.
That's super.
Or they're really super close and then
Oh, yeah.
it's a quick toss. You know what I mean? Maybe it's not hard. At 14, I don't know if that's fast or not in baseball. I feel like not, since people pitch at like 100 miles per hour, right? But I don't know,
14
feet per second and miles per hour, we'd have to do the conversions to figure out how fast that really is.
Well, if you want to
Okay.
think about it, like 90 miles an hour from 60 feet is like 0.9 seconds. It's true.
Okay, all right, does anybody have a question on that?
Baseball, that's how I know it.
Okay. We're gonna go ahead, that's our notes for today, okay? So all we do